Hello, hope you're well and happy, you and your family and everyone you know. Today, we're going to talk about the healing code, which was created and developed by Alex Lloyd. This is Alex Lloyd, and his co-writer, Dr. Ben Johnson. The book is The Healing Code, as you see, and it says 6 minutes to heal the source of your health, success, and relationship issue. So even though it's called the healing code, it's not just for physical problems, but for any kind of obstruction of harmony in our lives. But today, let's work on a physical issue. This is done by placing our fingers in these certain positions about 2 to 3 centimeters from the head to the eyebrow area, and then to the neck. This is the second position, to the throat, okay, and then to the jaw area, and then to the temples. And we will explain now how this is done. Now, some theory behind what this method. The autonomic nervous system triggers the pumping of adrenaline when we experience negative emotions into our bodies so that we can run faster or fight harder, literally to survive the current event. Okay, so the body goes into the fight or flight mode or even in the freeze mode. Okay. Resources, including blood flow, nutrients, waste removal, and oxygenation, are shifted away from our internal organs, immune system, and higher intellectual functions. We can't do philosophy when we're running away from a lion or a car or someone with a gun. And shifted to large muscle groups and the brainstem where reactive thinking occurs. We become very reactive. We may not know what we're doing just to save ourselves. Individual cells receive an alarm message from the nervous system to shift out of growth mode, and into self-protection mode. Now, cells in self-protection mode are susceptible to illness and disease because they're not caring for themselves. Cells in the growth mode are impervious to illness and disease. Now, this is Bruce Lipton, a professor of genetics and epigenetics, and he's written this book, a number of books, but this is the book, The Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton, PhD. He says, when we experience unpleasant emotions, explains that if the body stays in the state long enough, the state of alarm, illness and disease are likely to follow. This is the process that creates 95% of disease and illness. The fact that our cells are in a constant state of thinking anyway that they are dealing with some kind of threat when actually there is no threat. We have anxiety about so many subjects and stimuli which are not threats to ourselves. So, how does the healing code work? In the body system can be traced back to a destructive picture. The replacement of that picture creates a permanent healing effect. Dr. Glenn, to whom Lloyd refers, advises please become aware and mindful of the fact that your current pictures are influencing your life, including your physical, emotional, and spiritual well being. Research by Dr. Glenn, Dr. Howard, and many others leads to the conclusion that destructive, often unconscious, subconscious images in the cells, okay, cause both physical and non-physical illnesses. What makes the picture so destructive? Everything is energy at its most basic level, and everything has a frequency that is transmitted to whatever surrounds it. The energy that emanates from painful, negative memories and the cells that contain them is unhealthy for the cells. Just as cancer cells are the result of these destructive frequencies, negative emotions and unhealthy beliefs are the result of the destructive frequencies produced by negative, painful images, traumatic images, or feeling hurt, feeling rejected, feeling angry, feeling guilty. All of these are affecting our cells and our health. What is a healing code and how can it activate such a profound process? This is all by Lloyd, okay? I discovered that there are 4 healing centers located in the head and neck. These healing centers appear to work like hidden fuse box that when the correct switches are flipped on, will allow healing of almost anything. They do this by removing the stress in the body that has switched them off and thus allowing the neuroimmune system to resume its job of healing whatever is wrong in the body. And then he goes on. The healing centers activate an energetic healing system that functions in a manner parallel to the immune system. Instead of killing viruses and bacteria, it targets memories related to the issue a person is thinking about. Using positive healing energy frequencies, it cancels out and replaces negative destructive frequencies. So Lloyd discovered this in a moment of despair when he was trying to help his wife who had depression for 12 years and had tried various forms of healing, traditional and non-traditional. And he asked God, he's a religious or spiritual, not a religious, spiritual person, and for some kind of guidance, and he was guided to place his fingers in those points. And he shared that with his wife, and his wife within a few weeks was totally cured and never had depression again. And then he started sharing this with his patients as a psychologist, and they started to get well, not only emotionally, but also physically, of multiple sclerosis, of cancer, ALS, less serious diseases and problems. That doesn't mean everyone's going to get healed by performing it, but these people were healed by removing the emotional causes of the psychosomatic problems. So how is that done? We bring the issue to mind. Now, it could be a health issue, a relationship issue, a work, finances, whatever it may be. But today, why don't we choose a health issue? Okay? We feel the emotions that are connected to the issue. Now, Lloyd suggests that you focus on the emotions that you have about the fact that you have the problem. How do I feel about the fact that my lower back has pain, or that I have this trouble breathing, or whatever problem I may have? I would also add to that, you might want to consider which emotions have contributed to the problem, such as anxiety, fear, guilt, anger, hate. So there are emotions that we have about the fact that we have the problem. This is how Lloyd suggests that you approach. And I would also suggest you can choose. You might want to consider which emotions have contributed to the creation of the problem. Then we remember other situations when we felt the same emotion. So the common denominator here is the emotion. Okay, so we're focusing on the emotion and we're remembering other times that we have felt this emotion. And then after we remember a number of times that we have felt the same emotion, we choose the oldest memory at the youngest age or the most intense memory. Then we accept the feelings, and then we proceed on to the invocation or prayer, which I'll explain in a moment. And then we place our hands on these 4, just a distance from those 4 points, bringing to the mind positive perceptions. We do this 3 times, it's 3 circles of this placing the hands for about 30 seconds in each position, thus taking 6 minutes. Now, with the introduction and with staying a little longer, and I must tell you that people that got healed from serious illnesses stayed a much longer time than this 30 seconds. This is just an introduction, and we will stay a little longer also today. Now, the invocation or the prayer, for those of you that are inclined to such a way of dealing with things, could be something like this. Dear divine being, you may have your own name for that being. Higher nature, thank you for healing and removing all known and unknown very important key here, unknown, what we really don't know. False perceptions, traumatic memories, attachments, habits, fears, and other emotions that may be obstructing us from experiencing our higher nature of peace, happiness, and love in this and every other situation. You can use the first person here, remove from me, preventing me from having access to this, my higher nature. Some people are not inclined towards prayer, and so I have created this alternative approach, a communication with the subconscious. Dear subconscious, inner child and pain body, I love you, and I want to assure you that it is totally safe to let go of all known and unknown false perceptions, traumatic memories, attachments, habits, fears, and other emotions that may be obstructing us from experiencing a higher nature of peace, happiness, and love in this and every other situation. And then we move on to placing our fingers a short distance from these 4 points, starting with the forehead point, the throat, the jaw under the ears, and the temples above the ears for about 30 seconds in each position. Here you see the points again, forehead, throat, under the ears, above the ears, and once again, forehead, throat, jaw, temple. Okay, so you got a good idea where those points are now. And we bring to mind anything positive. Now, this is different from the other methods we have employed until now, because until now, we continued focusing on the problem. In the healing code, we don't do that. Once we have established the issue, we have focused on it, we felt the emotions, we accepted the emotions, and we made the invocation or the communication with the subconscious. Now we bring our mind to anything positive. I want to remind you that the first healings that took place with Lloyd's clients were without the prayer and without the positive thinking. Just by placing their fingers at those points for a more extended period of time, these miraculous healings took place. So the real focus is on these points, on the energy, but these can only help bringing to mind positive perceptions and making an invocation or a communication in the beginning. These can only help and increase the results. So we can bring to mind logical perceptions. Maybe we're not seeing something logically. Alternative perceptions, how we can see something differently. We have worked on this extensively in this seminar. Spiritual truths, whatever is truth for you. We can bring to our mind beings that we love, as we did with the freeze frame method. Just bring someone you love to mind. Feelings of gratitude, another way of having the mind in a positive state. Or we can also bring to mind what we're going to do today, and that is 12 aspects of our higher nature. Now, this is not from Lloyd. This is something that I have added to the method, because you can do anything you want while going through those points. The main suggestion by Lloyd is alternative perceptions and spiritual truths. And what we're going to focus on today is spiritual truths, but based on what is our higher nature, our true nature. And in the end, we can place our hands, as we have done in all of the exercises, on the heart center and focus on that. So a very brief explanation of why I am suggesting that we focus on the qualities of our higher nature. First of all, I believe that all of the universe is an expression of one divine consciousness. Now, you don't have to agree with me. You know that by now, okay? Just as all of the images on the screen at the movies, at the cinema, are all expressions of the one light behind the film. So even the good people and the bad people and the interactions between them are all expressions of the one light behind the film. There's no second light. And for me, there is no second cause of this universe. There is just one consciousness which is appearing as all that we see, what is positive and negative and pleasant and unpleasant. Now, for some reason that we can't get into now, and it's a very difficult question to answer, this consciousness decides to appear in this physical realm. And I perceive that we are the appearance of this divine consciousness in this physical realm. And there's a part of our being, which we will call our higher qualities, which is above our mind and is, if you like, closer to our divine source. Okay? So we want to focus on these higher qualities and see if we can begin to express them and feel them. And this will solve all problems in our lives. All problems will be solved once we are focused less on the mind, less on ego, and more on our immutable higher. These qualities are not changeable. They're immutable. They're non-negotiable. They are who we are, in my perception. Okay? And we want to remember that everyone else is that too. Everyone else, our parents, spouse, children, friends, strangers, good people, bad people, strong, weak, everyone is an expression of the same consciousness, and the essence of their being are these 12 qualities. It's like a bowl with a light in it, and the top of the bowl, or all the bowl, it has small holes with different configurations, and the light flowing through those holes is creating the image of uh, different objects around it, images. Every image totally different, but they all have one source, the one light, which is creating all of the images. Okay, so actually we are, if in quantum physics it's explained that matter is like a a bending in the what we call the space-time continuum, and that space is being temporarily bent by time itself. And so we are like waves appearing in the sea. This is person one, person two, person three different waves, but there is only one sea, one consciousness. These waves appear to be separate, but they will just dissolve into the sea. They're actually not real. They're temporary manifestations or formations of the sea, which is just this one consciousness. So we are all expressions of one consciousness. So we are all spirit, but for the purpose of expression in this world, we create a causal body, and then around that we create our higher self. So we're talking about this higher self and focusing on the qualities of this higher self, and around that a mind, and around the mind an energy body, and around the energy body a physical body. So we want to focus on this higher self, our higher nature today, and not so much on our mind. So the first aspect that I would suggest that we focus on is the fact that in the center of our being there is perfect health and perfect harmony. The soul is perfect, or the spirit is perfect, but the expression through the mind and body has become distorted. So we're not experiencing the fullness of our health, harmony, and energy, which is our true nature. But why not? First of all, if this is our real self, our higher nature, energy, health, and harmony, we may have made some karmic and soul choices not to experience those, at least in the beginning, in our minds and bodies. So we may have chosen to be born with some difficulties, both in the body and the energy and in the mind. And these are karmic choices or soul choices to learn through that, through those limitations. But also, besides those karmic and soul choices, our attachments, false beliefs, and negative emotions and way of life are distorting and limiting to a great degree our health from arriving to our mind and body. If we change, if we can remove the karmic and evolutionary choices by learning the lessons associated with them, we chose them to learn something. If we if we learn that, then they're not necessary anymore. Of course, we're not going to grow a limb if we don't have one when we're born. But a lot of things can change, especially psychosomatic situations, and become free from attachments, false beliefs, and negative emotions, and change the way we live, our diet, whether we're exercising or not, or breathing properly, or working on ourselves, then we can create much more energy, health, and harmony. So we want to bring from the center of our being the perfect health that already exists, so that we can experience it to ever greater degrees in our mind, in our energy, and in our bodies. The second immutable aspect of our being, but you can always disagree with me, okay? Well, we have our fingers now for the throat. In the first one, we had our fingers at the forehead. Now they're at the throat, okay? Is the fact that as divine consciousness in a temporary body, we are all worthy of respect and love as we are, even with our faults, and others with their faults. Even evil people, their mind is evil. Their essence cannot be evil. Their essence is God. It's divine. There's no other source of being in this physical world. So the second thing we want to remember as we're focused here is to feel our self-worth. That is immutable. It has nothing to do with what other people think or do. It's not something that can be changed. Not even but what other people do, but not even but what we do. If we make mistakes, it doesn't change. It's there, that self-worth. Now, if we make mistakes, there will be some karmic results. We will need to learn to not continue making these mistakes, especially mistakes of behaving towards other people as in ways that we would not like them to behave to us. So we have this total self-worth, divine self-worth, but we may have made karmic and soul choices not to experience it, to be born with a sense of guilt, or be born to parents which who will cause us to reject ourselves and not feel our self-worth, or teachers, or whoever it may be, or we have an appearance which will make it difficult for us to accept ourselves because others are giving importance to appearance, okay, or wealth, or whatever it may be, so that we're not feeling it in our mind, in our emotions. So we want to learn the lessons involved for the reason that we chose these karmic and soul choices, let go of attachments, false beliefs, and negative emotions, change our way of life, because one change we need to make in order to feel our self-worth is to behave ethically. It's difficult to feel our self-worth when we're telling lies or hurting people around us. So we need to change attachments, false beliefs, negative emotions, and way of life to experience the self-worth which is immutable within us, but we're not feeling it. The third immutable aspect of our higher nature is security, strength, power. Why? Because we are immortal beings in temporary bodies. An immortal being cannot be shot to death. It can't be burned. It can't be crushed by an earthquake. It's immortal. So we are this immortal consciousness. Our bodies can be destroyed. They can be harmed, and they will at some point cease functioning on this physical level. We need to place our sense of security on our immortality. And our fingers are here at the jaws. Now, this feeling of safety and security and power has also to do with the fact that we are living in a universe which is allowing to happen to us and to others only what is beneficial for our growth process. Now, this is a matter of faith, if you can believe that or not. But this is another reason to feel safe. Power, we understand that we have because we are afraid of going through situations which eventually we go through, and we realize that we had more power than we had imagined in the beginning. And this is the value of experience. So once again, within our immutable nature is security, strength, and power. We may have made karmic and soul choices not to experience them as children, so that now we can work on experiencing them internally. Let go of attachments, false belief, and negative emotions that limit our feeling of strength, security, and power, and of course, change our way of life. So we're doing this exercise to increase our contact with our higher nature and let that higher nature begin to express itself through our minds, our energy and our bodies. The fourth immutable aspect of our higher nature is purity or innocence. The light behind the film is not affected by the changes in the film. So we are the light, the consciousness behind the mind, as consciousness behind the mind, as this pure consciousness behind the mind. We're always pure and innocent. The mind is not always pure and innocent. It's quite sly. It's always trying to lie to create situations in which we can get what we want. So when we're talking about purity and innocence, we're talking above and beyond the mind, above, beyond the mind, because our true nature is above and beyond the mind. The mind is simply a vehicle for our expression and perception and creation in this life. It's a wonderful vehicle. We can do so much good with our minds in this physical realm. And that's why we are here, to do that. And that's why we have the mind. But we want to focus on that purity, because the purer we feel, the purer we want to behave. If we already feel dirty, we don't have any problem with having contact with dirt. So if we feel clean, we want to stay clean. Okay? So let's focus on this purity and innocence of our being, which is above and beyond the mind, which has nothing to do with the mind or with the body. And the more we focus on that, the more our mind will want to function in the pure and more innocent ways. Now, we may have made karmic and soul choices not to experience that innocence. We may have been born feeling guilty. They may have made us feel guilty. And so we need to work on that now by connecting with the truth of ourselves, also letting go of attachments, false beliefs, negative emotions, and of course, to feel our purity, our way of life will gradually need to become more and more pure, behaving to others in ways we would like them to behave to us. That's the last time I'm going to show you this image, because you got the idea now, and we're just going to focus on the qualities. Holiness, you probably didn't hear that as a child, that we are holy beings. What does holy mean? We talk about holy words, holy dance, holy songs, words, the power of holiness. Holiness is whatever connects us in a more intense way with the source. So a holy person will enable us to get focused on the source. Holy mantras will help us to focus, contact the source. Holy temples, if we sit in them, will enhance our ability to contact our higher self. So whatever is holy is like a hole in the physical universe, which allows more spirituality to come into this world. And we are that. We are walking temples. It's even said in the New Testament that we are temples of the God, God resides within us. So we are moving temples. In the old times, they built temples and they were stationary. But now we're moving forward and we are moving temples. And we are here to express that holiness. How do we do that? By forgiving, by loving, by blessing, by hoping for each being to be in contact with its own holiness, with its own contact with the divine essence within. Now, this holiness also is above and beyond the mind. I'm not saying the mind is holy. It can become holy. And let's make a distinction here between holiness and saintliness. Everyone has holiness because they're an expression of divine. Whether we're saintly or not depends on our behavior, the degree to which our ego is set aside and we're expressing that holiness. Also, the phrase born in the image and likeness of God can be interpreted in this way. We all have the image. Even the killer, the murderer, has the image because he's just an extension of divine consciousness in the physical world, but he doesn't have the likeness. So we are here to transform the holiness into saintliness and the image into likeness by having our mind and our bodies express that holiness. So what we can do every time we see some suffering, rather than feel sorry for that person or feel fear for that person, it's better to bless them. What do I mean by that? Imagine them connected with their inner source, with the light within them, with the health within them, with the self-worth within them. We're just asking them, we're hoping for them, we're imagining them in contact with the divine which is within them. This is the best thing we can do. We're not really sure whether they should get well or not because we don't know what their soul's plan is for evolution. But we know that only good can come from imagining them and hoping for them to be in touch and asking for them to be in touch with the divine within themselves. Now, the sixth immutable aspect of our highest nature is here at the neck, again, the throat, freedom. Now, we have talked about this, that we have always been free and we are free. We let go of our freedom when we make choices based on fear, attachment, needs, or roles. So if we're in the mind and we're having fear, we're fear doing what we really want to do or not doing what we don't want to do, the mind loses that freedom, and the body, of course, which follows the mind, loses that freedom and does what it doesn't want to do. But we as consciousness above and beyond the mind are always free, and we have that choice. So we want to focus on that sense of freedom of our true higher nature. We are free to do what we really want if we simply let go of attachment, of fear, and of roles. We are preventing our freedom. No one else is preventing it. We are trading our freedom in order to get their love, their approval, to get our paycheck. That's another way. So it's better to either do what we want, what we are doing with love, and let go of feeling suppressed, or find a way not to do it. Now, this shouldn't have any heavy repercussions on us or our family. If we need money, we have to find a way to make that money. So if we can do what we're doing to make money with love, that's great. Or else find another way, but not to neglect our family's needs. But we are always free. We make decisions. The seventh aspect is here under the ear, the jaw point again. Unconditional love. I like this phrase. We love even those that our mind and ego do not love. Okay. Our mind does not love everyone. Our ego doesn't love people that don't affirm it, that confront it, who function differently than how our ego believes they should function, or because our ego needs them to function. But we are not our ego. We are not our mind. We are divine consciousness above and beyond the mind. So our true nature is always love. When we're not feeling love, it's because we're in our mind, we're in our ego, we're being controlled by them. So by focusing in the healing code on this, that I am love, and allowing ourselves, even for some seconds, to feel love for those people that our minds have difficulty loving, we're beginning to connect with our higher nature. And let's not make this an issue of good and evil. It's not. Whatever we do, we are in the divine love. It's just a matter of evolution. It's a matter of freedom. Freedom is the freedom to love, to be peaceful, to be happy, not to be affected by how people function. And so I can't feel peace. I can't feel happiness. I can't feel love because my ego is not allowing me. So the seventh is an unconditional love. That's our true nature. So we want to focus more and more on experiencing our true nature. The eighth aspect of our true higher nature is our creative power, that we create our lives, bodies, relationships, situations. We are responsible for our lives. It's very important to take responsibility. No one else can create our reality, and let us create our desired reality. The fingers are here. We can't wait for anyone else to create the reality that we want. We can't create other people's reality. And no one can create ours. So one of the problems, sorry, about taking responsibility is that we confuse responsibility with being at fault. So if I'm responsible and my life is not as I would like it to be, and I have created a life that's not as I would like to be, then I'm not worthy. I have made a mistake. I'm not successful. But that's not what it is. We talked about the half-finished painting, the process, the bud and the flower, that we are in a process. So we're creating the reality that we can create with the belief system that we inherited from society and our parents. And we're in the process of transforming that belief system, hopefully. And so we're in the process of creating a new reality. We don't need to reject our reality or reject ourselves because our reality is not as we would like it to be. Just let's look at it. And if there are parts of our reality we don't like, then ask ourselves, how do I need to think differently, to speak differently, to behave differently, to act differently in order to create the reality I want? So it's a learning process. So let's let go of believing that others are creating our reality. Let's let go of the role of the victim, the one done injustice to. Let's take responsibility, not fault, responsibility, and let's see what reality do we want to create. And let's imagine that it already exists. This is a wonderful tool. Imagine your ideal reality as if it already exists and imagine that you're enjoying it. You can even write it down, a description of it. The ninth quality of our higher nature, now we're at the forehead again, is fullness, completeness. Now, the mind does not experience fullness. It experiences emptiness. It needs so many things in order to feel full. We need other people's love, other people's acceptance. We need pleasures, uh, so many things outside of ourselves in order to feel worthy, safe, full, happy, with meaning. We even need people to need us in order to feel that we have some meaning in life. So our true nature, above and beyond the mind, needs nothing. There's an absence of needs. All is within us. We are spirit. Okay. So if we can sort of let go for 30 seconds here of needs, experience our fullness, the completeness of our being, and the lack of any desiring something at this moment, then we can begin to become freer. Because needs cause us to lose our freedom. When we need people, we lose our freedom. When we need cigarettes, we lose our freedom. We need certain substances, we lose our freedom. Every need is a chain which limits our freedom. So feeling this fullness and this completeness is another way of connecting with our true higher nature. Now the 10th is peace and acceptance, also again above and beyond the mind, when we realize that everything is as it needs to be for the next steps in our evolutionary process. Okay, so we're at the throat again, and we're experiencing peace. This has to do with the fullness that we experienced earlier, that everything is okay. Peace has to do with acceptance. We say, I'm at peace with this. I'm at peace with the other situation. Okay. So the accepting that we are as we can be at this moment, and others are as they can be, and our life situation is as it can be, as a stepping stone, as a scenario to grow, not for it to stay that way. Everything is as it needs to be this second, but 3 seconds from now it can be totally different. So what acceptance does not mean giving up. It means accepting that this is where we are, everything is okay, I'm at peace, and then choosing what the next step moving forward is all about. It's like driving from one city to another. You're not in the other city yet. So what are you going to do? You're going to reject yourself, reject life, reject everything, or not there yet, or just stop and stay in between, give up? So neither do we give up, neither do we reject. We say, okay, I'm in the process of going from one city to another. And this is what evolution is all about. I'm in the process of going from one state of consciousness to another state of consciousness. So I'm at peace with that. I don't stop. I continue moving. There may be some goals perhaps that we just need to stop because they're not worthy, but anything that's important, we keep moving. Now the 11th is here at the jawbone again, happiness or bliss. Happiness is our ultimate destination, I would say, for the mind, but above and beyond the mind, we are happy, even when the mind is not happy. We're happy for no reason. This is called bliss. This is the result of meditation. That through meditation or intense prayer, or even sometimes walking in nature or dancing, even making love, we can experience this loss of individuality, the loss of needs, a sense of unity with all, and this intense feeling of bliss and happiness, which has nothing to do with anything that has happened or is happening. It's an inner state, regardless of external circumstance. So as we're here, we want to focus on that. Can I feel happiness for no reason at all? Why not try it? That inner happiness. And the 12th aspect of our immutable higher nature is that we are blessed, loved by God, loved by the divine. We are surrounded, permeated, and immersed in unconditional divine love and blessing regardless of our thoughts or actions. Now, this is difficult because we have not been taught this. We've been taught about a God who punishes, who gets angry, jealous, um, and does not love us if we don't behave as we should. I can't believe that. You're welcome to believe it, but I can't. I can only believe in a divine being that loves unconditionally, and that we always are in that state of blessedness, of being blessed, of being loved. Now, we often interpret difficult situations as punishment, as being punished because this divine being is angry at us, some kind of punishment. I can't believe that either. I just see it as a growth process, that difficult situations are simply opportunities for growth. So if you want, you can choose also to feel that you are loved. Then we can place our hands on our heart center and focus on all that we have to be grateful for. We can also perform this exercise in the plural, realizing that these aspects are the higher nature of all beings, not just of ourselves. It has even more power when we do it that way. And we do not need to be limited to the above mentioned 12 qualities, okay? Um, we can focus on any positive emotions or beliefs as we mentioned earlier. So we're going to do that now. I'm going to guide you through the process. I remind you that you can bring to mind any form of positive perceptions, logic, alternative perceptions, spiritual truths, beings we love, feelings of gratitude, or the 12 aspects of our higher self. I'm going to guide you into that today, but you're free any other time to bring anything else into your mind and not what we have talked about here. Okay? So we're going to do the exercise, and you can sit in a straight position. Okay, so we can sit with the spine straight. Relax. Take a few deep breaths. With the help of the breath, feel your spine getting straighter, shoulders coming back, arms relaxing. Now allow the abdomen to relax and the solar plexus to relax. Let's allow the jaw muscle and the cheeks to relax. Let's allow the eyes and the temples to relax. Let's allow the forehead to relax. And even the top of the head. Now, if there are any parts of your body that are tense, allow them to relax now. Now, you can choose an issue that you would like to work with. I would like to suggest that today you might want to work on a health issue. If not, you're welcome to work on any issue. And focus on that issue that you would like to heal and experience the emotions that you feel, that your mind creates when you're focused there. You can either focus on the emotions that you have about the issue, or if you have any idea of the emotions that are creating the issue, contributing to it, you can also focus on that. So feel the various emotions you have because of the issue. Emotions you have because that may be contributing to the issue. And choose one emotion. Of all of those emotions, choose one. And focus on that emotion. And as you're focused on it, accept it. And remember other times you may have felt that emotion. When else might you have felt the same emotion? Now choose either the oldest memory of having that emotion or the most intense, one or the other, unless they're the same. And focus on that memory. We want to heal the memory. Accept the emotion, accept the memory. And we're going to make the invocation. Dear Divine Being or Higher Nature, thank you for healing and removing all known and unknown false perceptions, traumatic memories, attachments, habits, fears, and other emotions that may be obstructing us from experiencing our higher nature of peace, happiness, and love in this and every other situation. And we're going to do the communication with the subconscious. Dear subconscious, inner child and pain body, I love you and want to assure you that it is totally safe to let go of all known and unknown false perceptions, traumatic memories, attachments, habits, fears, and other emotions that may be obstructing us from experiencing our higher nature of peace, happiness, and love in this and every other situation. Now we can bring our fingers towards the bridge of the nose without touching, feeling the energy flowing from the heart, fingers, and palms. Feel that energy flowing. And let's focus on the fact that our true nature is health, harmony, energy. And let's allow that inner health, inner harmony, healing energy to flow from the center of our being into our body and mind. Letting all obstacles dissolve. Now we can bring our fingers towards the throat center and focus on the fact that our true higher nature is divine consciousness and that we are worthy of love and respect as we are, even with our faults, as all other beings are worthy of love and respect, even with their faults. So let's feel that self-worth, feeling worthy of love and acceptance as we are. Now bringing the fingers to the jaw point, a few centimeters away, under the ears, focusing on the fact that we are actually immortal beings. We are not these bodies. As immortal beings, we are safe, we are secure, we cannot die. Let's focus on feeling that sense of security, that strength, sense of strength and love, power. Feel safe, feel powerful. Now bringing the fingers to the temples, not touching. Focusing on the reality of our purity, of our innocence, above and beyond the mind, like the light behind the film. It's not affected by the film. Our innocence is immutable, not affected by our mind or body. Let's focus on that essential, immutable innocence and purity. And allow it to flow into the mind and body so that innocence is expressed through our thoughts, our words, and actions. Now bringing the fingers towards the bridge of the nose again. We're focused on our holiness, the fact that we are actually holy beings, expressions of the divine in the physical realm. We are here to heal, to help, to bring comfort, to bless, to ask that each being comes in contact with its own higher nature for healing, for guidance. Let's feel that holiness. And let us want to express that holiness in our daily life with pure actions and thoughts. Now the fingers come down to the throat center, and we focus on the immutable freedom of our true nature. Our mind loses its freedom when it fears or is attached or caught up in roles. But we, above and behind, above the mind, are always free. Experience the freedom to live your life in accordance with your inner guidance. Experience yourself as a free soul. Now, with the fingers under the ears towards the jaw, the joint, we focus on the fact that our higher nature is love, unconditional love, and that even when our mind or egos are not experiencing love, we are. Our true nature is love, even when our mind is not feeling it. And let's take a few seconds to experience that. And we are love, and that we actually love those beings our mind does not love. Let's experience our higher nature of love. Now let's bring our fingers up to the temples and focus on the aspect of our heart nature, which is creative power, realizing that we are creating our lives, our bodies, our relationships, our economic situation. We are the creators of our life situations. There is no fault here. It's only a learning process. Let's take responsibility for our reality. And now let's imagine our desired reality, our ideal reality. Imagine yourself and your life exactly as you would like them to be, without imagining what other people do. That's not allowed, but yourself and your life. And enjoy the feelings that you have now that your life is as you would like it to be, your ideal self and ideal life. Now bringing the fingers towards the forehead again, focusing on our inner fullness or completeness. Even when the mind is lacking and needing and desiring, our true self, our higher nature, what we really are, is fullness, completeness, needing nothing. Let's feel that state of fullness, completeness. Now bringing the fingers down to the throat, we focus on inner peace and acceptance, above and beyond the mind. Even when the mind is not in peace, we are. We are not the mind. Allow yourself to feel this inner peace, accepting all as it is, as a temporary situation, a growth opportunity. Everything is as it needs to be, as a growth space. Inner peace. Now with the fingers under the ears towards the jaw, focusing on inner happiness. Even when our mind is not happy, we as higher nature are happy. It's called bliss. Happiness without any reason. The happiness of existence, without cause. The only cause is existence. Allow yourself to feel that happiness, perhaps a smile appearing on your lips, a smile on the face as you connect to that inner happiness. Now bringing the fingers to the temples, a few centimeters away, focusing on the fact that we are blessed in God's love. Whatever we do, whatever we may have done, we are in this sphere of blessing and love. Allow yourself to feel it. You are blessed. You are loved as you are. And you are worthy of that love as you are. Now we can bring the palms to the chest, to the heart center, and focus there. And relax. In this position, we can bring to mind what we feel grateful about, or what we could feel grateful about. Hopefully you're keeping up the list of gratitude. Think of all of the beings and accessories, everything that you have. Feel blessed. Feel gratitude. Now bring to mind the original issue that you started with. And bring to mind what you would like to remember from now on, which frees you from being affected by that memory. What truth or alternative perception frees you from being affected anymore and heals all effects of that memory. Receive the light which heals all effects of that memory. I'm going to count from 1 to 5. so that we can complete the exercise. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.